Now, guys, this video is basically for those who will be studying in Switzerland in 2023, and I want to draw your attention to a lot of things you need to put into consideration. First, please consider your budget before you try to apply to any Swiss university, because if you do not consider budget, at the end of the day, it may be difficult for you to pull through the process. Studying abroad is something that you need to plan before you start the process. Now, if you are looking to apply for universities in Switzerland, please, you have to be fast, because very soon most of the programs are going to close for admissions. Now, again, another thing you should be putting into, or you should put into consideration, is if the university is private or public. Some private universities in Switzerland are so affordable, while some public schools in Switzerland are equally affordable. And tuition fee in Switzerland is not that very expensive. There are schools in Switzerland where you can pay 500 Swiss franc. All right, I have a video about such universities which I mentioned few days ago, or let's say, yeah, it's not up to 2 weeks, so it should be few days ago. And equally, remember that private universities are somehow a little expensive than public universities. And now, how do you know where to apply to? First, you need to know the program you want to study. Then you start checking the universities in Switzerland. There are a lot of them. All right, I will be talking about them in subsequent videos very soon. Now, remember that the general range for tuition fee in Switzerland, if you really want to study in Switzerland, you should be looking at a tuition fee between 900 Swiss franc to like 1,100 Swiss franc. All right, and if you try to calculate, this money is like maybe 1,100 US dollars, all right, which is equivalent to maybe 509,000 naira. All right, that should be like 509,000 naira Nigerian money. Then equivalent to Cameroon CFA, it should be like maybe close to 600,000. For Ghanaian cedis, I really don't know how much it is, but understand that it is going to be very easy for you to study in Switzerland, and of course it is going to be very easy for you to pull through the process if you do due diligence. All right, now also understand that for you to study in Switzerland, there are a lot of factors you need to consider. The first thing you need to do after locating a program, or knowing your program you want to study, and of course identifying a university you want to apply for that program, the next thing you need to consider is the requirements. All right, you need to check the requirements. What are some of the things they need in order for you to apply for this particular program? Do they need transcripts if you are going for masters? Do they need motivation letter, recommendation letters? All right, all these little details, you need to check them, because if you do not check and you go and start applying for maybe the programs, you may not get admissions. The reason I'm taking time to explain this is because someone booked a one-on-one consultation with me a few days back, and when I was on the call with her, I was like, did you actually check? She was complaining that she had been applying but getting rejections. So I asked her now, have you actually been looking at requirements before you apply to these universities? She said no. Then she mentioned a university, and I asked her, did you legalize your document? She said no. All right, then when I asked her again, did you even pay the application fee and all those details? She said no. Then I told her it was impossible. So this is because she never checked requirements. She just went straight to apply, which I don't understand. But again, check the requirements is very important. Also, some universities in Switzerland will charge you an application fee. Application fee payment is very important. So you need to check the application fee to know how much you are going to pay and when you are going to pay it. All right, it is very, very important. Then you need to check application deadlines. All universities have deadlines, and if you miss the deadline, you miss the admissions period. Equally, remember that some schools in Switzerland will charge you for late application. University of Zurich is one. I think their late application fee is like 100 Swiss franc. All right, so you need to know all of these things, because if you go late, you are going to pay some money. Reason why I don't always encourage late application is because a lot of those programs sometimes take maximum 15 to 20 students. If you go late and all the people in front of you are qualified, they will take them and drop you. All right, so that is something. Again, check the language of instruction. Remember, I used to tell you that in Switzerland, they speak French, they speak German, all right? They speak another language, all right? There are a lot of languages. Let's just assume that the language of instructions for the program you want to apply is French and English, not even German. You now need to check the university to know. Places like Zurich, Geneva, and Basel, they don't have the same language, All right, a lot of people or a majority of people don't speak the same language in this area. So if you are applying for a school in these places, you need to verify to know what you are doing and the language of instructions, because you are going to be studying in English, but probably maybe the program is taught in Dutch or German. So you need to know all of these things. And again, remember that schools in Switzerland are in cantons. Canton simply means locality or maybe a neighborhood. All right, so if you go to a certain canton, they may be teaching them in German, and you go to another canton, they may be teaching them in French. So you need to know. All right, search the language of instructions of every canton to know what is happening. Then again, tuition fee, like I explained to you, some schools are usually very expensive than others. So if you do not check the tuition fee, you may not know. A university like the University of Basel or the University of Neuchâtel may not charge the same tuition fee as the University of Zurich, all right, or the University of Geneva. So you need to know all of these details so that you can really be focused. Now, again, let me chip in this before I forget. International students, remember, I always say that if you are moving to Switzerland as an international student, it will take you at least 6 months before you can start working anything, all right? That is not like maybe you were legal and you don't. No, in Switzerland, you need papers in order to work. You need to be legal. So it's going to take you at least 6 months for you to start working. Again, try to ask the universities. In case of private schools, if you apply to a private school and the tuition fee is heavy, try to ask the university if there are possible scholarships or scholarships you can apply to so that they can reduce your tuition fee, all right? So always ask the university. Sometimes when you ask them via a random email, they may not respond. But if you use the email of the admissions team, you may get a response from there. So you have to put this into consideration. And also remember that required documents are very important. If you are asked the motivation letter and recommendation letter, supply them. If you don't, you will not get the admissions. Now, when you finish with everything and you are about to apply for visa, let me talk about some sections of the visa application now. Remember, I always emphasize on proof of funds, all right? And again, when you are applying for these Swiss universities, make sure, all right, just try to make sure that you check the Swiss Embassy website when your application is already in process, all right? Try to check the Swiss Embassy website so that you know what is there, check the requirements, then you print the application form so that as soon as your admissions letter is out, you can then book submit the form and wait for them to give you an appointment date. I hope you understand. Then remember, you cannot apply for the visa without proof of funds. Now, how do you show your proof of funds? I have said there are so many ways, and there is a video on the channel explaining all of that. But again, for those of you who want to do maybe bank statement or want to do or provide bank statements from your sponsors or want to do blocked account, remember there are some certain banks that are affiliated to Switzerland, and it's called banks in the FINMAS list, all right? FINMAS is FINMAS, all right? That is FINMAS list. If a bank is not in that list, do not get a document from the bank, any other bank, all right? Or I would prefer you put the money in a bank in Switzerland. Or if you don't have a family member or somebody who can give you an affidavit of support in Switzerland, then you get a bank statement from anybody in this bank who is willing to sponsor you. I already have a video about that, so you can check that video. And popular banks that I know, I don't know if most of our banks in Africa are not found within the FINMAS list, all right? I think popular banks there include Barclays Bank, all right? I don't know where I saw Barclays Bank, but Barclays Bank is also in that list, all right? Raiffeisen Bank is also in that list. HSBC is in that list. Then LGT Bank is in that list, and also Citibank. All right, I saw Citibank somewhere and HSBC with Barclays Bank. I don't remember where I saw them. I think that was in Turkey or something like that. So you should be aware of what you are doing. Know that if your bank statement is not coming from these banks, it's going to disturb you a lot, all right? Make sure you put this into consideration before you apply for the visa. Again, there is something international students always say, that Milton, which country is easy, which country is easy, which is easy to get admissions, which is easy to get visa. International student, this is a disclaimer, all right? Please, there is nothing like easy admissions. There is nothing like easy visa. Well, there may be a country where you do not need to go through a lot of hurdles to get admissions later, like North Cyprus, which is not difficult for me to get, all right? Others, like maybe other countries, may be difficult to get. Not like it's difficult. I just want to remove this notion from your head that there is nothing difficult. If you are not willing to do the work, check someone who is ready to do the work for you, who is serious, all right? Don't get somebody that will eat your money and vanish into thin air. Now, Nothing is serious in the sense that if you do not put in the effort, you cannot get the admissions. That is the first thing. Then secondly, when it comes to visa application, there is something international students fail to do. When they want to apply for visas, they don't even check the website of the university. Some don't even check anything. Then you carry your head, you go to the embassy. At the end of the day now, a lot of things in your head, and the embassy is asking for your documents. You don't have all the documents, you don't have insurance, your bank statement is less. How can you be going to the embassy like that? In that case, you don't know what you are doing and does not deserve to move to that country. They will reject you. All right, because if you had known that what the value of your education is, you would have been studying to think of what various things to put into consideration or things to say when you ask certain questions. And most of the times, when they ask you questions at the level of the embassy, you don't answer, already you are out of the scene. All right, so you need to know all of these things. Nothing in life is difficult. Put in the work, supply the right documents. You cannot be going to the embassy and leaving some documents and you expect them to give you a visa. No, it doesn't work that way. Supply the right documents. All right, then you sit back and relax and watch things happen for yourself. But make sure it is very important to check again list of universities to know which one. I may have mentioned some universities which are in Switzerland, but others I did not mention. Like there are law schools, there are business schools, but know that, like I said, private schools will charge you more and you will equally need to pay a lot of money. But at the end of the day, it is worth it. All right, so I hope this video is going to help you. Switzerland is a country that is not in the EU, but it has its own members. All right, so it is not a big deal. A very great country, a very good country, well interact people. So if that is where you want to go to, then you should consider looking at some of these universities. Till we meet again in another video. Peace.